Meantime, congratulations to GNR bassist Duff McKagan, who got married to a woman named Linda last weekend. It's Duff's second marriage, and this October, he'll be joined by guitarist Slash when Slash gets married to model actress Renee Suran. She's a brunette who appeared in a Coors Light beer commercial, and contrary to rumors and gossip columns, Slash is not getting engaged to porn star Savannah, with whom he has been linked in the past.
So Slash in his book talked about how he met Renee, and he talked a bit about what the relationship was sort of like and then how it fell apart. So here's what he had to say about the first time they met. It was in late 89, early 90s, and he talked a bit about before the Use Your Illusion records, his day would be the following. He said, what I'm getting at is that generally I prefer to stay at home, drink all day, listen to records, and play guitar and write music. I wasn't reclusive in the way that I'd been on Smack, but in my mind, I'd switched over to work mode. So going out and socializing was the last thing on my mind. I had committed to being productive and getting our band to the next level. On one of those nights that Duff coaxed me out to this place, Peanuts, to jam with this great little blues band, we ended up hanging out with this girl named Pillar that basically he picked up. She was either a sexy Middle Eastern or Latin girl. I'm not sure which one. She also had a friend with her that I barely spoke to whose name was Renee. And Renee was this too cool for school girl with this kind of attitude. She held her head high and she had this mightier than thou stance. She was really good looking and she knew it. And the whole vibe locked me in like a tractor beam, because any girl that was going to make my life difficult was a girl that was hard to get, and that was a girl to go for in my mind. In Lemmy's infamous words, the chase is better than the catch. And Renee had no interest in what I did or any of the notoriety that came with it. She wasn't a rock chick by any stretch of the imagination. She was a model and an aspiring actress and very independent. Within a couple of weeks, I ditched the Walnut House and was living in her place full time. She had a great spot that her dad, before he passed away, had bought for her down in Valley Vista. I think there was a dining set, a bed, and a couch in the whole place. Here's how we spent our time. I'd get up in the morning and lie on the floor and drink vodka and smoke cigarettes until she got up. She'd basically go do what she had to do for the day, and I'd go do the same, and that was our life. Here's an interview with Slash from 1995 when he was still married to Renee, talking about how they first met and his initial thoughts about her.
Renee's coming in tomorrow night. So.
That's your wife?
Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 30.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, she's older than I am.
I thought you had like a 19-year-old chippy.
You know what? Let me tell you. 30, they're pretty. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, but what are you going to do when she gets 40? Then all of a sudden
she'll probably just be that much better.
Did she sign a prenup? I mean, you're a multi-billionaire.
We don't talk about that stuff.
Really?
I know you're dying for it. But
I'm going to make a prediction. Yes, she signed the prenup because Guns N' Roses has management that sits there. Like you come off the good guy. Hey, I don't want you to sign this, honey.
Actually,
these guys are making me.
She and I made a deal together.
Right.
And so that's very private.
So the deal is that you'll take care of her even if you get bored with her.
That's so harsh.
No, I'm not trying to be harsh, but you know the realities.
She wanted to come down here with me just to meet you.
Yeah, so where is she?
And she didn't fly in early enough.
Oh, that would have been good.
She's very cool. You'd be like, whoa. Obviously, to live with me.
Right.
And she's like a 1 in a million. I was like the least likely candidate for marriage. Trust me.
Because you were always at strip clubs and stuff.
He was always partying.
Slash even scored with Savannah, right? The one who killed herself, right? Right, Slash?
I think he called us while he was doing that.
You know,
Slash, you scored with her, right?
Well, I mean, what's this? What do you mean by score?
I mean, you did it to her.
You two were friends.
Yeah, right, Slash?
We went out together. We had really intellectual conversations together. It was deep.
I can't believe we just emptied the whole room full of girls, and now we're talking about scoring with Savannah. She was pretty hot, man. I don't know what happened there.
You know what? It's just because someone wasn't looking out for her. She needed somebody to take care of her. Trust me, I knew her well enough.
Tell me what happens when you become famous at such a young age and you can have any woman you want. Does it get boring after a while? That's why you got married? Like you said, hey, I just want a relationship or something?
Let me try something different, like monogamy.
Right. Is that what happened?
Yeah, basically just seen it so much to the point where...
Can you imagine seeing it so much that you get bored?
No.
Who could believe that? Who said they could believe that?
It took a while to trade that for one girl, though.
Is that right?
Or one.
It was a hard habit to break, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
She's got a perfect body.
It took a lot of years to get through that.
Yeah, but your wife's probably got a perfect body and everything.
Beautiful.
She's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Well, see, for a while then it was really great. You really loved all the variety and.
Oh yeah. Well, it's easy for a guy.
So in the summer of 1992, Guns N' Roses were in Europe touring on the Use Your Illusion tour. And in Slash's book, he talked about how him and Renee had split up because he'd been cheating on her. And he gotten lonely by the time they got to England, and he called her, and she basically flew out to meet him. He said, I made that decision one of those nights when all of the effing sordid, lunar, promiscuous stuff that I'd been doing had caught up with me and left me feeling empty and entirely alone. It's something that musicians do on a regular basis when they're on the road for too long. They get a soft spot in their heart, and in a moment of weakness against their better judgment, they act on it, usually engaging the wrong person. So anyway, a day or two later, there she was. I waited for her at the hotel bar, and when she showed up, I was totally distracted and starstruck because Jonathan Winters was there, and he's one of my comedic idols. So we ended up having drinks with him and his wife, which was great. Renee and I had a very civil time, and she traveled through England with me, and we discussed getting back together, but she came out there in the same frame of mind that she was when I first met her, not giving me any, and there was no way she was staying on tour for very long. So by October of 1992, like you saw in that clip in the beginning of this story, Slash ended up getting married to Renee in October of 92, and Slash said, "We definitely didn't do it small. It was this really big production that I had very little to do with. My only memories of planning it involved Renee showing me an endless number of books full of gifts to pick out. I couldn't relate to any of it, and my lack of interest made her very upset." He said the wedding ended up taking place in Marina del Rey, and with Duff as my best man and a couple hundred people, including my bandmates and crew, and a lounge band. As soon as we were married, we headed to Africa on a safari for 2 weeks for our honeymoon. For a wildlife fanatic like me, Africa was always on top of my list for vacation. There I could see what I've been reading about in books and seeing on television my whole life. I was obsessed with leopards, and while we were there, I'd get up at 5 in the morning to go out on safari and get back by 6 in the evening. It was the greatest place in the world to forget everything that was weighing on my mind. So he said before the wedding, Renee and I had a co-ed bachelor party at the Troubadour because Renee didn't want me to get together unsupervised with the guys. And at that little party, I ran into my old friend named Perla, who would end up being Slash's second wife. Now,
getting married, I mean, that changes even more in the last year than going out and road with snake bit. I mean, over the last couple of years, is it good, bad, or indifferent, or what? Does it ground you?
Let's see. I gotta relax here for a second. You asked the question so fast. All right. Getting married has been great because I love my wife very much. But at the same time, I don't change very easily, and so there's a lot of like checks and balances in the relationship where I have to adhere to certain needs she has, and she has to deal with me, basically. And so we've been pretty harmonious. You know, it's been almost 3 years, so we're doing pretty good.
Fast forward to when Slash left Guns N' Roses. He talked about what it was like when he traveled. He said, "When I traveled, I never brought Renee along, and I was never faithful on the road. We did go to Ireland together to visit Ronnie Wood and his family for a while. There were parts of my lifestyle with Renee that I appreciated. She was an aspiring actress, and I respected that. Yet at the same time, she couldn't seem to get a break, and her career really wasn't going where she wanted it to. I think she was frustrated because I had already established myself. I had cemented a foot in the door, and none of that really mattered to Renee anyways, or so it seemed, because I wasn't from the kind of band that played the kind of music she was into. Come to think of it, I don't even think she knew the magnitude of what was going on. She probably thought it was pretty childish. As our relationship began to erode, Renee started to hang around the lowest echelon of Hollywood actor scumbags, partying a bit too much, and at the same time I was doing my thing, completely oblivious to my commitments as a husband. After I'd paid the insurance company for the house that had been totaled in the earthquake, we shopped for a new one and found it in Beverly Hills at Roxbury Drive. It was an expensive Spanish-style structure built in the 1920s and now in foreclosure. Renee loved the new house, but I rarely slept at home. Instead, I spent an unhealthy amount of time sleeping around. I spent most of my nights hanging out the Sunset Marquee, running away from everything. I was completely weightless after Guns N' Roses, and I entered a phase of just spending my time and money at the hotel pool, chasing girls, drinking at the bar all day, and distancing myself from however I could from anything in my life that I considered a nuisance. If John Lennon had his lost weekend, I had my lost year. My security guard, Ronnie, took care of things at the house. Meanwhile, I continued my infidelity to her valet, and soon enough, I got sloppy. I attended a few high-profile events where I shouldn't have been misbehaving, so a few people were finding out, and so was Renee. Overall, it was a pretty fun period without any sense of direction. Though my desire to play guitar remained the same, I just needed to channel my energy into that. So in Slash's book, he said, the next time I saw Renee, she confronted me about it, what I'd been doing, and I was shocked to hear, and she was shocked to hear that I had no desire to work anything out. I just wanted a divorce. The next time I came home one night, I found a guy in bed with her, and I told him not to get up. I'd let myself out. And despite her objections, I insisted that she sign a prenup. Maybe my overdose had something to do with forcing the issue. All of it was taken care of pretty quickly, and once it was, we never saw each other again. In retrospect, it's kind of interesting that I suddenly disconnected with the two most important long-term closest relationships I had up to that point, just a matter of months apart. So about a year after their divorce, it came out in December of '98 that Slash sued his former business manager. So according to the article, Slash was suing his former business manager over an accounting error that apparently led to overpayments to his ex-wife totaling over $200,000. Management for the former Guns N' Roses guitarist confirmed the suit but declined to comment. So sources report that the payments were made to his former wife Renee Suran over the course of their on-again, off-again relationship from 1992 to 96 that doubled the $5,000 per month amount that had been agreed to before. Now, while some sources say Renee had refused to repay the money, others say that Slash had not asked her to do so. He basically instead intends to attempt recovery from the management company, which was named Goodvie, Chapnick, and Oppenheim, and his business manager, Michael Oppenheim. So for those of you who are interested, Renee can actually be seen in Howard Stern's movie Private Parts at the very beginning of the movie when Howard is at the 1992 Video Music Awards. You see a quick clip of Slash and his then wife walking past Howard. So here's an interview that Slash did in 2001 where he talked about his first marriage, and then there's another interview 6 years later where he talks about the same marriage.
Did you have sex with an old girlfriend the night before your wedding? What happened there? Were you scared to get married? Was that it? And you just said, hey, shit, I got to get out of this thing?
The first marriage I got into was an ultimatum.
Right.
And I don't think I went in the right... I didn't go into it from the heart. And so I'd sort of dated the girl that is now my wife.
Right.
You know, not really dated, but we saw each other on occasion. And we always had a good time. And she knew that. She knew that we had sort of a connection.
Is this the wife when you were doing my movie you were hanging out with?
That's the one that I was married to then.
Right.
Yeah.
That
You
was the
divorced
first
her.
one.
Yeah, I divorced
She was
her.
hot.
She was a good-looking girl, but it was an ultimatum. She finally caught me. Someone ratted me out for everything that I'd done behind her back. I mean, literally everything.
Aren't friends great?
Somebody had it in for me.
Why would they do that to you?
And so we split up for a while, and of course I was out on tour, and I started feeling lonely. And just because of all these things I did to her didn't mean that I didn't care about her. It was just I really wasn't ready for that serious of a relationship at that point, I think.
Are there any... but there, again, there's no rules, you know, so like you would just say, hey, screw it.
I was like a sex addict at that point.
You were?
I was out of control.
When you went to rehab,
I used to keep 3 and 4 hotel rooms in every hotel, so I could go bouncing around.
So that's part of your thing. You can't sit still. So so keep yourself busy with women, right?
Yeah,
why not?
It's like drugs.
Yeah, it ain't bad.
You can't knock it, though.
A lot of famous women?
No, not necessarily. I mean, some more famous than others, but...
Look at you.
Yeah,
how many women you figured you banged in your time? Come on.
I don't brag.
Give me a number.
So I don't have a number.
You up over 500?
I have no...
Look at you.
You didn't keep any records?
Of course not.
Are you kidding? There are written records. It's more thorough than a German concentration camp.
Anyway, so what happened was Perla heard that I was getting married. Actually, she came to my bachelor party, which was a co-ed bachelor party because... Oh, what I was saying was so I called my girlfriend up. I called my girlfriend up, who was going to be my wife, and I said, let's get back together. And she said, not unless we get married. And I was like, oh.
So you had to do it.
And so then we did it, and Perla, who'd known me from previous, came around and said, ha-ha, you know. And then somehow we ended up doing it the night before my wedding.
Beautiful.
The wedding was
ho-ho.
The wedding was doomed from that point on. The marriage was doomed, you know. But I feel really bad because I actually put her through something. I'm not into hurting people's feelings for, being inconsiderate.
Hey, this is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah! Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah!